Bad men need nothing more to compass their ends than that good men should look on and do nothing. A person may cause evil to others, not only by his actions, but by his inaction, and in either case he is justly accountable to them for the injury. I have learned to seek my happiness by limiting my desires, rather than in attempting to satisfy them. I will call no being good who is not what I mean, when I apply that epithet to my fellow creatures. And if such a creature can sentence me to hell, for not so calling him, to hell I will go. It is not because men's desires are strong that they act ill, it is because their consciences are weak. Every man who says frankly and fully what he thinks is so far doing a public service. We should be grateful to him for attacking most unsparingly our most cherished opinions. A state which dwarfs its men, in order that they may be more docile instruments in its hands, even for beneficial purposes, will find that with small men, no great thing can really be accomplished. A party of order or stability, and a party of progress or reform, are both necessary elements of a healthy state of political life. The only freedom which deserves the name is that of pursuing our own good in our own way, so long as we do not attempt to deprive others of theirs, or impede their efforts to obtain it. So long as an opinion is strongly rooted in the feelings, it gains rather than loses in stability by having a preponderating weight of argument against it. Persons of genius, it is true, are and are always likely to be a small minority, but in order to have them, it is necessary to preserve the soil in which they grow. No one can be a great thinker who does not recognize that as a thinker it is his first duty to follow his intellect to whatever conclusions it may lead. Both teachers and learners go to sleep at their post as soon as there is no enemy in the field. The time appears to me to have come when it is the duty of all to make their dissent from religion known. If any opinion is compelled to silence, that opinion may, for aught we can certainly know, be true. To deny this is to assume our own infallibility. Despotism is a legitimate mode of government in dealing with barbarians, provided the end be their improvement. The liberty of the individual must be thus far limited, he must not make himself a nuisance to other people. So true is that unnatural generally means only uncustomary, and that everything which is usual appears natural. There are no means of finding what either one person or many can do, but by trying, and no means by which anyone else can discover for them what it is for their happiness to do or leave undone. It is given to no human being to stereotype a set of truths and walk safely by their guidance with his mind's eye closed. No great improvements in the lot of mankind are possible until a great change takes place in the fundamental constitution of their modes of thought. After the primary necessities of food and raiment, freedom is the first and strongest want of human nature. The strongest of all arguments against the interference of the public with purely personal conduct is that when it does interfere, the odds are that it interferes wrongly and in the wrong place. The love of power and the love of liberty are in eternal antagonism. There have been, and may be again, great individual thinkers in a general atmosphere of mental slavery. As long as justice and injustice have not terminated their ever-renewing fight for ascendancy in the affairs of mankind, human beings must be willing, when need is, to do battle for the one against the other. In history, as in traveling, men usually see only what they already had in their own minds, and few learn much from history who do not bring much with them to its study. One person with a belief is equal to the force of 100,000 who have only interests. Since the state must necessarily provide subsistence for the criminal poor, while undergoing punishment, not to do the same for the poor who have not offended is to give a premium on crime. I believe in spectacles, but I think eyes necessary too. No slave is a slave to the same lengths, and in so full a sense of the word, as a wife is. Mankind are greater gainers by suffering each other to live as seem good to themselves than by compelling each to live as seems good to the rest. Language is the light of the mind. Foresight of phenomenon and power over them depend on knowledge of their sequences, and not upon any notion we may have formed respecting their origin or inmost nature. He who knows only his own side of the case, knows little of that. War is an ugly thing, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling which thinks that nothing is worth war is much worse. As long as justice and injustice have not terminated their ever-renewing fight for ascendancy in the affairs of mankind, human beings must be willing, when needed, to do battle for the one against the other. An objection which applies to all conduct can be no valid objection to any conduct in particular. The yoke is naturally and necessarily humiliating to all persons, except the one who is on the throne, together with, at most, the one who expects to succeed to it. We have had the morality of submission, and the morality of chivalry and generosity. The time is now come for the morality of justice. Have intercourse with females, acquire wealth. The general or prevailing opinion in any subject is rarely or never the whole truth. It is only by the collision of adverse opinions that the remainder of the truth has any chance of being supplied. Natural rights, nonsense. Natural and imprescriptible rights, rhetorical nonsense, elevated nonsense, nonsense going on stilts. Civil or social liberty, the nature and limits of the power which can be legitimately exercised by society over the individual. The test of real and vigorous thinking, the thinking which ascertains truths instead of dreaming dreams, is successful application to practice. It is better to be a human being dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. Better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a fool satisfied. Define logic as the science which treats of the operations of the human understanding in the pursuit of truth. Governments must be made for human beings as they are, or as they are capable of speedily becoming. In every respect the burthen is hard on those who attack an almost universal opinion. If all mankind minus one were of one opinion, mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. Although it is not true that all conservatives are stupid people, it is true that most stupid people are conservative. There is an imaginary circle drawn around every human being, over which no government should be able to step. There is always hope when people are forced to listen to both sides. How can great minds be produced in a country where the test of great minds is agreeing in the opinion of small minds? When one's ideas are not challenged, one's ability to defend them weakens. There are many truths of which the full meaning cannot be realized until personal experience has brought it home. Every great movement must experience 3 stages: ridicule, discussion, adoption. Men do not desire to be rich, but to be richer than other men. Originality is the one thing which unoriginal minds cannot feel the use of. To refuse a hearing to an opinion, because they are sure that it is false, is to assume that their certainty is the same thing as absolute certainty. All silencing of discussion is an assumption of infallibility.